What's up, y'all? Toya here, and I am back with another video for y'all. Before we get into the video, make sure you guys either like, subscribe, and hit that notification bell. Alright, y'all. Man, it might be time to hang it up, y'all. It might be time to hang it up. Like, it's just getting out of control. Pay has been going down. These apps, they just doing what they want to do. You know, we just seen what happened with Deliver That, right? It's just getting hard out here to, you know, try to go ahead and do gig work. So I don't know, it might be time to call it wraps. Might be time to go ahead and go back to traditional work. This just ain't worth it. It's just not worth it. Now, unfortunately, there are a lot of people that feel this way, and it's valid. All of these things that I just mentioned, they're valid. The app's making changes that are not in the driver's favor, pay continuously going down, so you have to work more in order to pretty much earn the same that you were making a couple of years ago, wearing your car down for pennies, and of course you got those deactivations or the risk of deactivations because of some unknown reasons, or because some customers just lied and said they didn't get their order, or whatever it may be. All completely valid. Now, like a lot of people, I got into gig work in 2020 during the pandemic. I only briefly dabbled in it, and I didn't take it too seriously. It wasn't until 2022 when I actually did lock in. Now, even though I'm only a few years into the gig scene, these changes that I've seen, they're pretty loud. The climate was completely different during the pandemic in comparison to how it is today. If you were working the on-demand apps or doing food delivery, grocery delivery, people were super generous with their tips. And you were able to make quite a bit of money if you were doing gig apps on a regular during this time. Fast forward to 2025, you're gonna have to go ahead and put in some more hours to bring in that kind of money that you were then. I remember when I was doing roadie, I was actually kind of fond of roadie in the beginning because I was doing the Walmart orders. So it was like a route, and I had like, I don't know, it varied as far as how many stops, but it would take maybe 2 to 3 hours on average to do these routes, and I was getting paid about $120 on average for those. Today, those same routes that they have, maybe 30, 40 bucks, maybe $50 if you're lucky, maybe a little bit more. Amazon Flex, man, that app, I was doing flex blocks like crazy, I ain't gonna lie. Now, the pay is roughly the same. It may have gone down or up slightly depending on the location, but you have more packages that you have to deliver now. In the past, I would get done with my blocks early almost every single time. Like, I'm talking about an hour early. Today, more recently, I've done a couple blocks within the last few months, and when I tell you, man, yeah, if I get done early, it might be 15 minutes early, but most of the time, I'm getting done right on time. They gave you some more packages so they can get more work out of you. They don't want to go ahead and send you home early for the same amount of pay. So I guess we can say that the honeymoon phase is over. You know, all those good times that we had on the gig apps, it's come to an end. It seems that way, right? Has it gotten to the point where we've finally gotten back to reality and we got to go back to traditional work? Well, it just kind of depends, I guess. Now, I made a video at the beginning of this year, and it was discussing how gig work was going to be huge in 2025. And over the last, I would say, few weeks, month or so, I'm starting to get people pop into the comment section saying, you know, this video didn't age well. Well, first of all, the year's not over yet. Secondly, I never said that things were going to go back to how they were in the past. The main point of that video was to discuss some of the changes that could affect the amount of work that is available to gig workers. Primarily because a lot of companies are deciding to move towards same day and next day delivery models. And 9 times out of 10, those delivery drivers that are going to fulfill those orders, they are going to be gig workers. Now, besides that, companies just want to save money overall, so they are opting to go third party, meaning the gig apps. UPS is letting go of folks. They've been going through a round of layoffs, and I think they laid off like 20,000 people, if I remember correctly. And guess what UPS owns? UPS owns the Roadie app. And remember that Roadie XD came into the picture about a year or so ago, right? When they first went live, I think they had about 4 to 5 locations where they were doing XD. They have since expanded quite a bit, and they're still planning on expanding quite a bit. A lot of those packages that UPS probably would have delivered, they're going to those XD docks. Coincidence? I don't think so. Clearly there is a shift that is happening, but it may just not be translating in the way that we want to see it on our gig apps. For these companies, it is a lot cheaper to pay gig workers to do deliveries instead of their W-2 employees. Now, whether or not the pay that they're going to be offering you to deliver these packages, well, that's another question. Remember, like I've been discussing lately, with these lack of regulations, these companies can get away with just about anything. So you can only imagine how much they're saving going in this direction. Now, people say that having a W-2 is more secure than doing gig work. Sure, you got your benefits, you got PTO, whatever it may be, but you can still get let go anytime, just like how these folks are getting laid off at UPS and other jobs across the country. You know, there really isn't a job that is 100% secure. And between the layoffs and jobs saying that they are hiring, but they really aren't, you know, it's no wonder that people are continuing to turn to gig work. But the grass ain't greener over here either, at least if you don't water it. The point is, gig work has its flaws. We know this. But does that mean you should quit? I guess it just depends. Yes, pay has gone down. Apps are screwing us over left and right. But like I've always said on this channel, you have to make the most of what you have in front of you. Making smarter decisions and worrying about what's in your control. You know, I still have my W-2, and just as much as I would love to work for myself, I'm not at a point where I'm able to do so. If I decided I wanted to quit my job today and I didn't have a plan and it didn't work out, is that the gig app's fault? Is it the overall gig economy's fault? Is it the content creators that I watched? Is it their fault? No, I stepped in there myself with no plan, ignoring all the signs, and it didn't work out. Now, can you do gig work full time? I don't want to say yes, and I don't want to say no. But I will say it would be more difficult to do so today in comparison to, let's just say, 5 years ago. Like I mentioned earlier, pay has gone down, so you're going to find yourself putting in even more hours to make ends meet. So are you willing to do that? Better yet, based off your current situation, are you even able to do that? Someone who is single, living with family, is obviously going to have a different level of responsibility than someone who is married, 3 kids, got a mortgage. These are completely different circumstances. And based off of those circumstances, you may or may not be able to commit to gig work like you want to. Having the drive to hustle is one thing, but being realistic is another. Having the expectation that you're going to make $300-$400 every single day is not realistic. Can you do it? Yeah, probably every now and then, but not every day. So based off how the current gig economy is moving, you have to make those adjustments. And like I said, based off of what you have going on in your life, you may not be able to commit to gig work like you want to. So in a sense, you know, maybe you do have to quit, or at least dial it back a little bit, because it's just not as profitable as you need it to be. And the last thing that you'll want to do is lose time that you can't get back chasing this little bit of money that you can get from gig work. I will never tell you that gig work is the way to live, but based off of my experiences, I can provide some insight, give you tips, give you different apps to try, whatever. But in the end, it's up to you to decide what level of effort you want to put into it. Full-time, part-time is up to you. And honestly, based off of a lot of people's reaction lately, it seems like keeping gig work as a side hustle is going to be the way to go. At least until we can get out of this rut, or whatever you want to call this. At least that's how I'm approaching it. You know, I have some things that I'm working on the back end, and that does involve gig work and courier work and all of that. But I'm just gonna, you know, keep an eye out, see how the climate changes, and make my move when the time is right. And that's all we really can do. So should you quit gig work? Well, that's up to you. But yeah, guys, that's pretty much it. That's pretty much all I got for this video. So I don't know, y'all. I don't know what the rest of 2025 is going to bring us. You know, maybe I was wrong. You know, maybe there isn't going to be another gig work boom. You know, I'm just going off of just like seeing the demand of certain things, and I just feel like a lot more delivery services are going to lean more towards gig apps. And like I said, that doesn't necessarily mean that the pay is going to get better. That just means that, you know, more stuff is going to go third party, and you just got to pick and choose what works for you. And I know I was talking about regulations and things like that as well lately. You know, maybe with the influx of more third-party deliveries, you know, more 1099 contractors, that might force the hand of the government to step in and try to get some regulation going. I don't know. I've just been kind of playing the guessing game based off of how the climate's been, and like I said, I could be wrong. I don't know. We're just gonna have to wait and see how it plays out. But until then, you know, the point of this channel is to help one another, right? Anything that I learn, I want to pass that along to you guys via a video. Whether that's tricks and tips, you know, me just showing how my deliveries go, different experiences, or just having conversations like this. You know, things that kind of make you think a little bit, maybe give you a new perspective on things. And, you know, it's always good to have conversation, right? But personally, I don't want to say you should quit gig work. You know, there is still money there. You know, like I said, I do this on the side. I do it when I can. If an order pops up that I think is worth taking, hey, I'm gonna go ahead and do it, you know? And then at the end of the week, I can say, oh, look at that, I got a extra $100, $200. You know, I'm not out here aiming to make an extra $500, $1,000 on top of my W-2. You know, it would be nice, but it's just not realistic right now. And yeah, that's really all you can do. Just be realistic, make smart moves, and, you know, just go from there. Do what you can. That's really all you can do. But yeah, guys, that's pretty much it. That's pretty much all I got. So I would love to know what you guys thought of this topic. Do you think it is time to quit gig work? Do you think it's time to hang it up? Time to go back to traditional work? Or do you see a light at the end of the tunnel? Do you think things are going to improve in time? So just let me know in the comments. But before I go, I have to remind you guys to leave a like, subscribe, and hit that notification bell so you do not miss a video. But I'm going to go ahead and get up out of here, guys. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. I'm going to catch you guys on the next one. And as always, stay safe out there and keep grinding.